Daredevil Season 2, Episode 2, Dogs to a Gunfight. Now, I'm not sure what it is about second episodes for this show, but, like, Episode 2 of the first season is, like, my favorite episode of the series because of that end fight scene. And then this was an awesome episode as well because we got a really great surprise with whatever's going on with Matt. I have no idea what to expect from that, but apparently he's having issues where he's temporarily going deaf, so he's blind and deaf. And when they first happened, I thought that was a great scene, and they actually cut all the sound. And initially, I thought it was he was just off a little bit, and then when they do it, when the glass shatters and nothing happens, I was like, is he actually deaf right now? And I'm assuming, based on how his powers work, if he's deaf, not deaf, obviously. If he's deaf, he can't see. Even in his form, he can't see anything, so he can't tell what's happening. And with the way they ended the episode, I'm assuming that the Punisher knocked him out and kidnapped him, maybe, and they'll probably have a talk. Because there's one of the trailers, I believe it's like the first, maybe the second trailer, where he talks to him as like, we should kind of work together, like we're both heroes in a sense, and then they kind of have their back and forth. And I'm guessing that's what happened because, of course, they both disappear by the end of this one. But I was like, holy crap, I couldn't believe it happened at the very end, and I'm just curious, like, what in the world happened to him? Because when he mentions the thing about the gun, like, oh, I should have seen it, or I should have felt it, it makes me wonder if he was already being affected when that happened, and then it was just kicking in, like, fully it kicked in when he was, like, getting the pills and everything, and he, it got, like, super high pitched, and it was almost like he couldn't control it, and he heard it too well, and then complete silence. So I'm not sure if it was. I'm assuming it was something beforehand, just because of what he mentioned with how he should have known the gun was there to begin with. But I love the way that they did it. Apparently, Matt did not catch that bullet whatsoever. Like I was thinking, like maybe he tried to or something, but no, he got shot straight in the head. And he was knocked unconscious, and Foggy had to, find him, which I thought was a great scene. And he's like, I lost my keys, and he gets in and stuff. But fortunately, he finds him and gets him back to the hotel, or gets him back to his house. I don't know why I said hotel, but he gets him back home, and they have another conversation where it's like, this is freaking dangerous. Like, of course, right after they talk about it, like there could always be someone. There's the ultimate fear is always there. Like, he doesn't care about the broken bone stuff. He's like, you'll beat some people up, but there will be that one thing, and it'll be permanent, and that's all he's worried about. And that's kind of, what he almost saw today. So, or in this episode, and I really love those. Like, those, that's probably the best example of him having a reason for trying to talk Matt out of it, because he actually saw him. Like, he had. In season 1, when like the episode where he found him was kind of the same thing, where he was really messed up, and then this is like even after this is him having been Daredevil or the Devil of Hell's Kitchen for quite some time, and then he gets taken down. That's a really big deal now, more than it was even the first time when Foggy actually found out who he was. So I really loved that part of the episode, and I was glad it didn't take up too much of the episode, because I was like, it was a kind of big part of the first episode. It happened a couple of different times in the first one, so I was glad that it didn't take place too much. It was just that one scene, and then they kind of separate in this episode, and they're he's kind of dealing with the issues that he's having, and Karen and Foggy are trying to help Grotto, who unfortunately didn't die, because I was like, man, even though he's not like a good guy or anything, he is trying to figure stuff out. He's trying to escape and not get killed. And I was like, I think he's gonna die. I was like, I don't know if the brass guy's gonna end up killing him. And then we find out that it was actually all a setup to bait the Punisher, who he officially has his name in this episode now. So that's pretty cool. They're already calling him the Punisher and everything. But when we find out that it's actually meant for bait, I was like, oh man, he's gonna get killed, because he's actually coming after him. It's not just some random thing, and it may or may not work out. I was like, no, this whole time it was bait for Frank. And especially when he was in the tanker and he was kind of like walking out, I was like, oh, he's just going to shoot him straight in the head and he's going to die right here. But fortunately, he does end up surviving. Frank does take a shot in the arm, because they just had a bunch of people shooting at them while they were fighting. So I love that ending scene as well, because we have all sorts of gunfire. I was like, I don't know who's going to get shot. Of course, I didn't think either of them would die, but I was worried that one of them would get hit, and it would be I was more worried that it would actually end up being Matt. So it was, with it being Frank, I was like, okay, a little bit less scary because we know that he's not going to get revealed as the Punisher. Maybe not at all, because he's the Punisher, the comic book character. So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what his role is, like where he stands in the comics, because it's not like he wears a mask. He's never had a mask. He's always just been the Punisher. He has his shirt and his outfit and a bunch of freaking weapons. He's never had a mask. So I'm curious how they're going to play that by the time the season ends. If people will know who the Punisher is, but he just ends up escaping, or how that's going to play out. But he had a good scene as well. He goes to the pawn shop. He gets he just spends a bunch of money. He's like, all right, I want. He buys the radio thing, so he gets that. He's like, all right, I'm on camera, need the videotape, and then he pays a couple $100, and the guy's like, here you go, and he drops the bullets to empty, put in the bag, and he just takes the 2 shells. I shouldn't have said bullets, but the shells, and he just takes 2 shells for a couple $100, and then of course he beats the guy up because he's like, hey, I got I got backdoor and there's all these porn, and as soon as he mentioned the girl, he's like, she's barely 12. I was like, yep, that's gonna do it. That's as soon as he said that, that is full on illegal. That's child pornography. And I was like, the other porn is that's just porn. That's porn. But child porn, I was like, yep, he's done. This guy, as soon as he said that, I was like, that's illegal enough. That's illegal enough for him. So, as soon as he did that, I was like, oh, he's done. He's done. And he takes the bat and he just beats him. He beats him to death. And we hear one swing, and then that's pretty much it. But it was very obvious. I was like, as soon as he said she's barely 12 or something, I was like, that's illegal enough. And little stuff he still, I don't know how he would have gotten that thing, because that was pretty huge to just someone brought that in for him illegally, to buy off of him. But it was like, maybe nobody got hurt, they stole it, whatever. And then child porn is like, nope, no, you gotta go for that one. So I like that scene for sure. And then we got another great fight scene. I love the fact that they did the whole thing where Matt threw his stick. I forgot. I believe an eskrima stick is what they're called. And when he threw it and hit the gun, and it hit the gun, bounced off the wall, and then flew back to Matt. I was like, that's really cool. And there are only 2 people that can. There are a couple people that can do that in the Marvel Universe, but when he first did it, it made me think of Captain America, because that's how Captain America does it, is through accuracy. They changed it in the movies a little bit, because they did it where it's a magnetic sort of thing. But I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh man, he did the the ricochet stuff, because he can easily do that because he has that sort of accuracy just like Captain America. So I was like, that's really cool that they put that in there. And they have another really cool fight scene, hand to hand again, and it's just back and forth, back and forth. Once again, I mentioned this in the first episode, Frank can take a lot of damage and keep going. He got shot, I don't know how he got shot straight in the arm, because it looked like he was on the ground, but somehow he got hit perfectly straight in the right in his arm. But he kept fighting, and he's fighting against Matt. Matt did a really cool, it was a little combo thing when they were getting near the glass, and I knew as soon as I saw it in the background, I was like, that's gonna be a window and they're gonna drop through the glass. But Matt's punching him and stuff, and he's blocking and everything, and he's already been shot straight in the arm. And when he did it, it clearly hurt, because it was his arm blew up because it was a squib, obviously. But it was a perfect center shot straight into the arm. And then he's just blocking and just fighting right back. And then he picks him up with his right arm, and he uses his strength and slams him through the glass, and they both fall down. And they both get right back up, and it's just holy crap. And it looked like he had glass kind of stabbed into his arm. Frank did when he fell. I was just like, man, he kept going, and it was really awesome to see that, actually. So I really enjoyed that. I was surprised by the way it ended because of the trailer. I thought that this was going to end and Frank would have to kind of, take off or something, and Matt would be left to kind of deal with the cops. Because there is a scene, because we have his mask where it's sealed up now, kind of slightly reinforced. There's a scene in the trailer where he's fighting and he has his mask like that, and I thought it was going to be or not this episode, but I thought it was going to end up being the next one. But that apparently is going to take place somewhere totally different. I was very surprised by the way this episode ended, because I really didn't expect it, but I certainly enjoyed it. I'm assuming Grotto may or may not survive. He still did what he was supposed to do, so I'm assuming he'll be fine, and they'll be able to send him off to witness protection, because I feel like they lose enough people, or I think that might be a part of it subconsciously, where I'm like, I really don't want him to die, because they lose a lot of people. They lost quite a few people in the first season, And it's like, man, I hope that doesn't happen again, because it seems like they've, kind of been on a, on a good, track where they've been able to help people and stuff. And this is like their first really big mission in a while, and or case, I should say. And I'm really hoping this guy doesn't get killed off, because it's like, man, there's yet another thing that's happening. And they have more stuff with Karen in this episode, which I thought was really good, with her kind of skimming the surface about what happened between her and Wesley, and seeing things with the Punisher and how he kills people, and how she was in that situation where she actually did shoot someone. So I like how she's kind of dealing with that aspect, where it's like she's still hiding what she did, but she was kidnapped and she was threatened. Her life was threatened, and she was fortunately able to get out of it. Sadly, in the process, killing a very awesome character from the first season. But that's still there. That's still in her head, and that's something she has to deal with, because no one knows that it was her. Even Fisk never realized that it was her. He just thought it was someone he was working with. So I love the way that all of that stuff played out. I thought it was really well done, and I'm excited to see. I'm assuming this season she's gonna tell someone somehow, or for some reason. I think someone's gonna end up finding out what happened between her and Wesley, and how she really had that moment. I think something else might happen. Maybe they will lose Grotto, and that'll be the situation where it's like, that kind of just makes her say it to... I feel like she might say it to Foggy more than she would to Matt, just because, well, for one reason, they're together more than she's around Matt. But they are kind of playing the relationship angle quite a bit. And I didn't mention this before because it was like one little scene, but it happened again in this episode. And I don't know, I was kind of surprised by that in the first episode as well, and she was kind of like getting close to him when they were playing pool and stuff. And it seems like they're really pushing that, which they kind of, it seemed like they were kind of getting rid of that completely by the end of the first season, because it was like she was kind of talking with Foggy a lot, they were getting really close, and they, they agreed to kind of be friends. And she seemed like she had interest in Matt really early on in the season, like when she first met him and stuff, but it seemed like that all kind of went away. They, she worried about him and stuff, but like in this episode when she was leaving and she was like talking and she would take 2 steps or something, I was like, is she gonna kiss him, or how are they playing this, because I'm not sure where it's gonna go. So I would prefer it if they all just stayed friends, or if she ended up with Foggy. I think I would prefer that than she ended up with Matt. And I feel like she probably won't, because especially mostly with Elektra coming in, I think that would be a huge distraction for Matt. Even if he decided he was interested in Karen, I think once Elektra comes in, it's going to be like, crap. Like, he may not want to be with her or anything in a relationship anymore. But it's like, his ex-girlfriend comes in, who's also bringing a full-on ninja army. So, a lot of, distractions abound, when that happens. So, even if he decides he wants to be with Karen, I don't think it's really going to play out this season. So, I think they're kind of pushing it where she'll want that to happen, but I don't think it will. And maybe it will. That would be another twist if it actually ended up working with all the madness they're going through with Punisher and Elektra. Somehow they still managed to have a relationship. That would actually be kind of funny to me, thinking about it this way. That they actually somehow make that work. But I'm looking forward to this next episode for sure. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I, of course, have to ask, what are your feelings about Matt losing his hearing during those 2 scenes in this episode? I think it was a very, very well done scene when it first happened, and then the glass shatters and it complete silence, and he's screaming and stuff, and he's like banging on the wall. That was probably my favorite scene out of the whole episode, just because it was a surprising moment. The fact that it happened in general, but then just the way they did it, where he just, he's like feeling around his room, because it's like he's truly blind, and he can't hear anything either, so it's like he lost an extra sense. And he's feeling around, and then he's standing against the wall and nothing's working, and he just like, it's almost like he sat down in a corner a little bit, and he just slides down on that piece of the brick wall, and he just starts to scream. And I was like, this is a really well done scene, and there's just no noise, and he's trying to hear it, it just wasn't working. And of course, eventually it comes back when he starts to hear the door. But I love that scene. That was my favorite scene in this episode. And that was, like I said, it happened at the end, and I wasn't really expecting that. And so I'm assuming Punisher is taking him. But I really love the way that they did that. I'm very curious to get an answer out of it, because I'm assuming it's more than just, oh, he got wounded because he was shot in the head. Which they mentioned was not by accident, because Frank could have taken him down, and the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who worked on the suit, he's like, maybe it was a warning shot. He was like, he could have ended you, but he didn't. And he mentions, like, if it was like an inch to the left or right, which very typical. It's like, man, if you were an inch in any direction, you could have died. But of course, it's right in the middle. But it was so pinpoint. It was like he could have easily just shot you straight through the eye, but he didn't. And so he mentions, like, maybe it was a warning shot. And I kind of like that idea because with it being Punisher, we know kind of his character. So I thought that was actually really cool that they kind of put that in there. Like, maybe it was a warning shot because he's that good that he could shoot you with such accuracy. And he wasn't that far away anyway, so it was a little even easier for him. But, you know, just an inch left or right, that says a lot. So I thought that was really cool too. But I'm excited to see what they do with that. I really loved it. It's a great... it's weird, but I mean, I feel like he doesn't need any sort of thing to kind of cripple his abilities because despite the fact that he can still see stuff, technically he can see better than other people. So he does have an advantage. He is still blind. I mean, there are still certain things that come with that, and despite the fact that he can kind of see things in a certain sense, clearly it's not 100%. And I don't know, like, they might reveal that it is simply because it was just a special thing. It was just the way Frank was moving or something like that, because he's never faced anyone like him before. So it could be a result of that. And then there are still cases where he doesn't know 100% that someone could be there, like we saw in the trailer with Elektra, where he was in the room, and then he didn't turn around. You know, he did something. I think he was getting water or he was doing something, and then he turned around because he realized she was there, but he didn't notice as soon as she walked in. So his powers aren't 100%, and then him losing sound where he's blind and deaf, and he can't do his special sort of sight. That's a huge, you know, crippling thing to happen to him. So I'm very excited to see where they take that and see what he has to do to overcome it. If he can, I'm assuming he can. It's not just going to keep happening at random. But I'm very excited to see where they take that. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about that. Both scenes at the first time it happened and towards the end of the episode, and of course what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.